Chair recognizes Mr. Wicks.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an accountant, and I'm not a federal employee. Well, I was a federal employee once. They gave me a one-way ticket to Vietnam. I asked them about the return ticket. They said, well, we got to see whether they're going to be in cargo or in coach. Fortunately, I was in coach. But I am a businessman. And I think I know what businesses, how businesses operate, and what helps and what doesn't help a business. Basically, first of all, a couple statements about what we have. The ordinances have changed again tonight, I hope all of you noticed. You know, I was quoted as saying I was waiting for some updated information because at the last meeting, the ordinance was up from $1 million to $2 million. I never got any information on that. I had to go get that information myself, so I did. And then I also said that I didn't know what the ordinance would be until Ms. Kaus told me tonight, just before she wanted me to vote on it. And sure enough, Ms. Kaus came up with 2 changes tonight, just before we're going to vote on it. The comments made about it being burdensome to the government, or burdensome to the home of the business owner, it was true. It was written up that you had to show that you had a hardship. Now, the only way I know to show hardship is you have to show that you've lost money. And the only way I know you do that is by either showing your financial records or your tax returns. That's now been removed at this last moment again. The other thing about a committee reviewing it. Now, what was it? If it was just an application, what's a committee going to review? If it's just an application, you don't need a review. Basically, what this ordinance now is everyone gets a 20% reduction on their occupational tax. If that's what we want to do, if that's the wish of council, then that's what we should do. But to say that this is a hardship tax help for small business is just, in my mind, well, let me show you the figures. I'm not going to say that. Basically, it's showing a 20% reduction in occupational tax for companies having hardship. You must have proof of hardship. This is before tonight's revision, second, third, whatever revision. And it'll be reviewed by a committee of the city staff for verification events only once every 3 years. City records indicate that there's 1,133 businesses that will be eligible. These companies show gross receipts to the city between $1 and $2 million. 84% of all businesses registered in the city report under $1 million. 59% of the businesses are under $250,000. That's 665 of the 1,133 businesses. Under $250,000, your average hardship deduction will be $4.92 on average. $4.92. 74% of the businesses are under $500,000. 837 of the 1,133. Under $500,000, you'll average $9.34. Now, this is a perfect example of the government maybe having good intentions, but not understanding what the needs of business are or how to help business. If you take this equation up to the highest level of $2 million, what you would be saving the taxpayer, the business owner, at 20% of his occupational tax would be less than 1/100th of 1% of their gross receipts. That's the easiest example of that would be someone who's worrying about, or who is doing $40,000 a week, $40,000 a week in retail, would be looking for a savings of about $1.92. If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, it's a duck. This does not, first of all, hardship is certainly not the way to put on it, but certainly not the title to put on it, and it certainly is not anything to help small business. What we are doing in the city is really trying to do something that will help small business. On May 22nd, we're having a symposium that I believe that Eric is going to speak out to later in the evening, and it empowers businesses through learning. We need to help small business. We want to attract small business to the city. We need to do things that are going to help them. Not get in their way, not tax them, help them. Not give them $4.92, but if they need help on learning how to do financials, then offer them classes for that. Helping entrepreneurs, helping small businesses come into the city and help them attract them. As far as retention of the small businesses, and the people who have sent in their letters just have not been explained this process thoroughly. A week and a half ago, I addressed the East Side Chamber of Commerce. As I was there, the question came up about this hardship tax. Now, at the time, there was before it was amended, you did have to show your hardship, and it did go to a committee. So I will tell you that I did express that to those people. Of everyone in the room, and I had a member of city staff there with me. Will you please stand up and say stop if I'm lying? I asked them, would you do this for $15? Not a hand went up. I said, would you do it for $40? Not a hand went up. Would you do it for $100? Not a hand went up. Would you do it for $200? Not one hand went up. After the meeting, guy came up to me, said, look, if you're going to help, but don't tell me you're helping me and not help me. I can't support this because it does nothing for anybody. Anyone who thinks that $4.92 or $9.53 is helping a small businessman, when you're going to make him come into City Hall and fill out an application, is it going to cost them more than that to get here? Again, it's a perfect example of the government not understanding the needs of small business and not addressing the real needs. I cannot sit here as a businessman and represent that this truly helps small business. Further, I would not, in good conscience, look a businessman in the face and tell him that this is all I can do for you. Over the next 6 to 9 months, with the work of our economic development coordinator, with the help of our planning and zoning director, the city manager, the ad hoc economic development committee, and the rest of council, we'll come up with a plan that will help small business. It will be comprehensive and will really help small business. It will do something that will attract business to the city, retain the businesses we have, and it'll be comprehensive. It won't be $4.92 on a tax savings. The best equivalent I could have, or the best way I can explain this to you is this. If you make $30,000 a year, if you were offered the same percentage, or the government just said we're going to give you 20% off, or whatever, I'm going to put 3 cents a week extra in your paycheck. Would you consider that help? Sure, you'd have the 3 cents. That's exactly what this is. It's government not understanding what small business needs and how to help small business.
Thank you, Mr. Witz. Does any other council member wish to speak before I open up the public comment?
Yes, sir. When this was first brought before us, actually I believe the issue originally came up in our work retreat, may have been this last year or even the year before, and council said yes, helping businesses that are experiencing trouble, absolutely what we need to be about. Ms. Couts did come to us and she brought some information from some other cities and presented them to council and said, this is what I propose to do. that time, I made some comments that, number one, it's only for 1 year. And if you're in trouble, that a 1 year reduction probably is not going to be the fix, the cure that you need. And I mentioned that we have an economic development coordinator here at the city. Maybe we should work with him to get a comprehensive plan, put it together, and have this be part of that. It would be good for businesses that are experiencing trouble to bring in their business plan and have it reviewed. Well, one of the ways to do that, and Eric has been working on this, is to bring in the Service Corps of Retired Executives, which works with the SBA to help small entrepreneurs and small business create business plans, review their business plans, find funding, and make sure that they're doing everything humanly possible to correct their business operation so they can cure the problem, so they can move forward and be successful. They also work with entrepreneurs who are looking at starting up to begin with. I said, well, this would be if we could do something like that, tie it all together, that would make sense. At that time I was told, well, I'm going forward with this. Government should not be a moving, legislation and government should not be a moving target. Our last meeting, we were having this ordinance before us, and the afternoon, I believe it was 4:30 in the afternoon, we got an update from 1 million to 2 million. Didn't have time to read the ordinance to find out if there were any other changes, so we postponed. Tonight, we had a work session. The changes to this ordinance were brought before us. They weren't given to us in written form. I know they were spoken, but for me to sit here and try to keep notes of all those changes, I understand the crux of them. I understand she was trying to cure some of the issues that people had expressed with the ordinance. Great. It is good to finally take input and change. But at the last minute is not the time to do it. Government should do better, and we should do better. And I could not look any small businessman, having been in small business owner myself, I could not look any small businessman in the eye and say, look what I did for you if we pass this ordinance. We need to do better. We will do better. Just hold on. We'll help you solve the problems. We won't create more of them.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I believe this is an open debate. I
Well,
have to
what-
respond.
Yeah, I know. What I'd like to do is if there are any other council members who wish to speak, let's get them done for the first time. Then I'll open up the floor to public comment, and then you get a chance to respond. Okay? Ms. Bender?
I'll just be brief on this.